Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video steps away from skincare and is more towards the fashion Instagram side of the spectrum, because for the longest time I have been asked, how do I look taller in photos? Because I definitely can admit I've learned some tricks over the years on how to make someone my size, being 5'2", look not 5'2" in my photos on Instagram and even sometimes in videos. So today I'm going to be sharing with you guys my little tricks and hacks that I do to make myself look taller and less short, both with how I pose in my photos, how I angle the camera, and then also some of the post-editing tricks that I do before publishing anything on my Instagram account. So keep on watching. So right now I'm going to show you how you can look taller in photos. And essentially I'm already starting off in an automatic pose on how you can look taller in photos. And first off, if you're a short girl like me, I'm only 5'2". The first thing that I always do whenever I'm in a photo is I automatically put one leg in front of the other. This gives the illusion that I am taller because I'm elongating and narrowing into a V shape with my legs. So it makes me look slimmer by putting the leg forward in front of me, giving the illusion that I'm longer. Aside from that, your angle also counts. If you're standing straight on and forward, you're automatically going to look wider and shorter. So I always like to make sure I slightly angle my hips so that my forward hip is coming forward and this one is going backwards towards the wall, foot in front, and just standing and posing. Now this may take some practice in front of the mirror. I know I did not know how to pose correctly until I had practiced in front of a mirror. Not everyone is going to have the exact same good angles or the exact same bad angles. So make sure you go in a mirror, practice. It's really going to help you out. Aside from standing poses, sitting down is always the easiest when you're a short girl. Here I have my stool right in front of me. The first thing you want to do is make sure when you're sitting down that you're on the absolute edge in photos. Never ever have your butt all the way on the entire chair. Not only is this going to make you spread and look wider, it's also going to compress on the bottom of your thighs and give more of a bulge underneath. So when you go on the absolute edge of the chair, you defeat getting that bulge as much as possible underneath on your legs. And what you want to do is not sit comfortably. Sitting comfortably makes you look shorter. So instead of being comfy cozy, what I like to do for the photos is make sure that I always have an arch in my back. If you hunch over, not only does it look unattractive, but it's also going to make you look a little bit shorter, a little bit rounder. So make sure you put a good arch in your back. You want that S line right there, butt is out, shoulders are back, and then extending the legs so your heels are on the floor and your toes are pointing forward as much as possible. If your person with the camera is directly in front of you, you just want to kind of sit like that and point the toes as far away as you can. That is kind of my trick for looking taller when sitting down. It's very easy when you're sitting down because it helps give the illusion that you're taller without having to put too much work into it. Of course, you can also cross the legs in front of each other. The more you cross over, the more you make your legs look longer. Aside from sitting down, you also can wear heels all the time. I generally always wear heels or platforms of some sort because it helps me automatically look taller without having to put too much work into it. The only thing you have to consider is that if you are wearing heels all the time, it does put a lot of strain on your calves, which in turn can make them look bigger because they're constantly being worked out. So if you are choosing to wear heels all the time, make sure after every day you stretch, you massage them. It's going to help you de-swell those calves and help you not have too much muscle mass built up there. Now, there's a few more things you can do when you're standing up to help you look taller, and this depends on your camera person. Your person that you're using has to understand how a camera works and how angles works. Now, you'll notice on the phone that my camera person is using, my wonderful friend Liz, there are grids in the screen. Now, proportions of your photo on your camera are really going to help you out when it comes to making you look taller. Basically, what you want to do is make sure that the person in your photo or yourself is always in the lower portion of the grid. Make sure you at least have one square on top of your head in the grids because that gives you the illusion that there's more space to work with and that you're not cropped in too much in the photos. That's one trick that I learned to make me look taller. Even when you're publishing photos to your Instagram account, always make sure you have a gap between your head. It's going to give the illusion that you're taller and you're not short and occupying the entire screen, which can also make you look bulky and a little more round at the same time. Also, angles of your camera can really help. This is something I learned a few years ago. If you're super short and you don't mind a downward, upwards facing angle of your face, I always make sure that my phone, bottom of my phone or bottom of my camera is tilted upwards, and then the top portion of my phone is tilted backwards. So just to assist my camera person right now, just like that. So if I take it and go to the side, this is your phone right here. You want to tilt it ever so slightly like that. So the bottom of the phone is facing towards the subject and the top portion of the phone is tilted back. What also helps is coming from a lower angle in general. Now, if you are uncomfortable with this angle at your face, then all you have to do is make sure that you tuck your chin in and look slightly downwards so that you don't get that upshot of your nose and that upshot of your chin. So when you stand with your leg in front of you, toe in front of you, hip slightly forward with this hip bone backwards, bottom of the phone tilted toward the subject, top of the phone tilted away from the subject, and a generally lower angle with the chin pointed downwards, you're gonna automatically look taller. And don't forget those proportions with the top of the grid, so there is a gap in the grid between the head and the ceiling. And that's it. Those are my tips to looking taller, aside from other tips like editing. So along with simply looking taller by photo techniques and placement, it also comes down to the editing. So sometimes the photos may not always look as tall as I would like them to. So let me find one that I want to edit for you guys so I look a little bit taller, because I felt like maybe I didn't look tall enough. Because in these photos, I'm going to work with this one specifically, there are certain furniture items or the flooring in general that can add to you not looking taller. So already we originally look taller. I'm only 5'2". The photo technique with the angles and the positioning of myself in the frame already enhances my ability to look taller. But to make me look even taller, there are certain things that I do to edit my photos a little bit to help with me looking a little bit taller in my photos. I have about 3 editing apps that I use to edit my photos. And first one that I always do is Lightroom. That's where I change the coloring. Then I usually go into Beautycam, which is my body editing and facial editing program. And then I go into Snapseed if I feel like a photo isn't sharp enough or it isn't stand out enough, and I fine tune it a little bit more. But for today, right now, for the taller portion, I'm going to head into my Beautycam. This is my favorite editing app. I tried Facetune, I tried Snow, and I didn't like both of those. This one I've been using for years. Now, even though I say body editing, I never go overboard with it. It's usually just changing a few little things that I feel like would make me look shorter. So for example, in this photo, one thing that makes me look shorter is my feet positioning. And what really needs to be enhanced is the length between my feet and the length between my torso. That is kind of the giveaway that I'm short. Although our photo tricks work well enough on their own, my favorite thing to do is go to the taller option. When this first came out, you guys, it was revolutionary for Instagram photos. So for editing, I usually select just above where my ankle is, and then to as far as I can get up to my torso. Basically, you want to select the entire option of your lengths, and you can either make yourself shorter or you can make yourself longer. Another thing that I do, this doesn't have to do with looking taller, this is more so just how I edit my photos, is I always go in and I use the slim option and tuck any areas where I feel uncomfortable with my body shape. Now this can be super controversial, and I know a lot of people don't really like the idea of this, but to be honest, you guys, 100% of influencers that are popular on Instagram edit their photos to some extent with using body toning, changing. And for me, I always try to keep it believable. I never do it too much where I feel like people will know my photo has been edited to not look like me. So usually I take the biggest I think I need for the brush size, and I go in specifically always to my arms. I have short girl arms, and if you're short like me, you're 5'2", you know that your arms, no matter what, might tend to look larger than they really are in reality, just because they're not long, they don't have that length to give them a natural slender look, and certain positions can be difficult to get them to look slim. So for me, I like zooming in and taking the largest brush size, and I generally just do a small push so that I get a little more of a slender look. Now for me, I've always had broad shoulders. I grew up playing outside. I hauled a lot of things. Like, I literally grew up digging rocks out of the earth, like so I'm naturally strong looking. My body grew in a very labor intensive by choice playground where I chose to play via landscaping pretty much. So I have a very fit body by nature, and I'm also short. So once again, that whole lack of slender, like, think of an average person's muscles but more condensed in a smaller package. We tend to look a little more bulky without having to work for it. So I just go in with my brush again, and I tuck the areas where I feel like I look a little too bulky. And specifically, I have this problem with my traps, which is the area between the shoulders and the neck, right there. So I tend to just tuck that in a smidge so that once again, I look taller, I look slender. Sometimes, once again, I do the same thing with my face. If I feel like my skin looks like it's sagging a little too much, which I feel like I get in this area right here, then sometimes I go in and I give it a little bit of a lift and a tuck, just so that the angles are a little more chiseled, a little more defined. Never too much though, just enough so that it's more sharp and more defined. Other things that I do with the face, if I feel like parts of it are a little too aggressive, is my nostrils. If I feel like people are able to see up my nose a little too much, then I'll tuck my nostrils just a smidge so it feels like you're not looking directly up my nose. Then sometimes what I've liked to do recently is elongate my eyes so they're not as round. So just a slight pull on the outer corner gives a more cat eye effect. You can also just do that with the eyeliner portion and not the actual eyeball. So that way when you pull that section, you actually elongate your eyeliner and you don't actually change your face. It's more so changing your makeup. You also can use it to lift your eyebrow if you feel like your eyebrows are looking a little too heavy. It makes you look tired. And I also sometimes like to do it to my face. If I feel like the outer portion of my cheek area is too large in comparison to the width of my mouth, I can go in and just pull the edges so we get a little more of a longer mouth shape. But never, once again, never too much where it doesn't look like me. I never want to not look like who I naturally am. I just want to enhance the angles of my body to make me feel like I achieved the perfect angle. Now already this photo that we took was pretty good and it didn't need much editing whatsoever, but for me, I feel more happy with the quality with these small changes that we made to not only make us look taller, but to also make us look a little more defined. And next I like to go in and look at the eyes. The eyes are a little dark. They're a little lost in the shadow. So what I love to do is go to the brighten option. Manual always, get my brush size, zoom in as much as possible, and drag over the eyes. This is going to brighten the whites of our eyes. It's also going to sharpen our eye makeup and also enhance our highlighter. So it's a really easy way to make those eyes pop without having to do too much editing. And I sometimes also like to go over the mouth area because it also makes that color pop and make the lips look more stand out. So before, after, before, after. So our makeup looks a little more intense and our eyes are a little bit brighter. And of course you can keep going over what areas you want to brighten as well to get them more stand out-ish. but I think that's enough. Sometimes as well, if I want my highlight on my cheeks to stand out, I will go in and do the brighten thing on areas where I want that to stand out. So even the cheekbones as well, you can use the brighten tool on, and it really makes that highlighter pop a little bit more while still looking natural too, of course. Okay, now this is where I use some different tools. I can either use this option in my Snapseed app, or if there's not too much to edit, I use it in my Beautycam app. So going over to the acne option, you can use this tool as a healing tool on parts in your photo that don't belong. So for example, the spots on the wall where I have my hooks for hanging up my art, I'm going to remove because they don't match the photo. So just hovering the acne tool over that area, it will get rid of it. Now I find that the acne tool isn't always perfect. As you can see, it kind of left an odd shadow. So I generally don't use the acne tool too much in this app, as I see what is that? I don't understand what's going on there. So I don't usually use it too much in this app unless it's a really simple edit that I feel like this Beautycam can handle, but I don't think you can handle it today. There's too many different gradations in color and it's not doing too well. So that is it for my body editing to make me look taller and to also fine tune. Those are the general things that I do. So I'm just going to go in and save. Of course, not every single photo is going to be perfect, and those are things that you can do if you find a photo that you like and you love it. But there are a few things off with it. You, of course, can post-edit it to make it a little bit better. But otherwise, that is it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you thumbs it up. Comment down below. Check me out on Instagram if you want to see anything else. I do post a lot of beauty-related stuff, skincare-related stuff, skincare reviews, and all that jazz. So check me out there if you're not already doing that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button with the notification bell, or else YouTube will not be so kind as to notify you when I upload videos. So definitely check that out, and I will see you guys next time. Good luck with your photos, and I will see you.